My name is Clara Bennett. I am 38 years old, an agricultural compliance consultant in Napa Valley, California, and at 5:15 on a Saturday evening, I walked into my brother's vineyard opening and saw my forged signature printed inside a USDA organic certification packet beside a wine table covered in white roses. Bennett Ridge Vineyard looked like a magazine had swallowed my grandfather's farm and sold it back with better lighting. The tasting room had new stone walls, black-framed windows, linen umbrellas, and a ribbon stretched across the patio in front of 90 guests holding glasses of wine they had already been told was certified organic. My younger brother Chase stood near the ribbon in a cream linen jacket, smiling like he had personally saved every vine from drought, debt, and disease. His wife Savannah was live streaming under a sign that said, Bennett Ridge Estate Founder and Estate Owner, Chase Bennett. My mother Margaret stood beside him with tears in her eyes, already proud of the son who had stayed. My father, Warren, stood behind the wine barrels looking down at the gravel like the truth might be buried there. I had been introduced at the check-in table as family guest, not compliance preparer, not heir, not the person who paid $27,400 in water penalties and soil testing to keep the farm from losing certification eligibility, not the person who corrected 3 years of pesticide logs, rebuilt the crop insurance file, negotiated the irrigation extension, and stopped the last audit from failing. Family guest. In my hand was my grandfather Henry's old brass vineyard gate key, still attached to a cracked leather tag. In my tote was a green organic compliance folder with water receipts, soil reports, pesticide log corrections, refusal emails, forged signature pages, inspection records, and the audit verification packet the USDA inspector had emailed me that morning by mistake. Then my mother raised her voice in front of guests and local press and said, Clara ran from this farm years ago. Chase was the one who loved it enough to bring it back. People clapped. Chase smiled. Savannah's live stream comments floated up her screen. I pressed the brass key into my palm and looked toward the barrel room, where Rachel Moreno, the USDA Organic Certification Inspector, was holding a tablet and staring at a file that had my name on it. Before I tell you what happened when Rachel asked who signed the organic certification and my brother went silent, tell me this first. What time is it where you are right now, and where are you watching from? I want to know how far this story travels before my family understands that the land remembers who protected it. Bennett Ridge was not just vines and views to me. It was my grandfather's hands. Henry Bennett had fingers permanently darkened by soil and pruning cuts, and he could look at a row of vines from 20 feet away and tell you whether the irrigation was wrong, whether powdery mildew was coming, or whether someone had lied on the spray log. He taught me that farms die twice. Once in the dirt, he said, and once in the files. I was 9 when he first told me that, sitting at the kitchen table with a yellow legal pad, logging water use while Chase ran outside with grape leaves stuck in his hair. I thought the files were boring then. Grandpa said boring records kept beautiful land alive. He was right. A vineyard can survive a bad season. It cannot survive years of bad records, unpaid water penalties, missing pesticide logs, and a family that thinks sunsets count as management. Chase was the son my parents praised for staying close to the land. He stayed close to the tasting room, the drone footage, the sunset photos, and the version of farming where mud never touched his shoes unless the camera needed authenticity. I was the daughter who left for Davis, studied agricultural compliance, and came back with knowledge my family called distance. When Chase forgot to file irrigation reports, Mom said he had been working the vines. When I corrected the water use documents at midnight, She said I had always liked paperwork. When Chase posted himself pruning in a white shirt, Dad said the boy had vineyard blood. When I found a pesticide application log with the wrong block number and saved the farm from an audit failure, Dad said, "Good catch," only when nobody else was listening. The first time I saw the pattern clearly, Grandpa was still alive. Chase had promised to help him with harvest records. Instead, he took photos of golden grapes and wrote a caption about legacy. I found Grandpa in the office trying to match field notes with weigh tickets while his hands shook from arthritis. I stayed until 1 a.m. rebuilding the file. The next morning, Mom told neighbors Chase had been out there all night with Henry, saving the crop. Grandpa heard it. He looked at me across the table, then wrote one line on the back of a water invoice. "The land remembers who protected it." He slid it to me without saying a word. I kept it. My mother kept the lie. After Grandpa died, Bennett Ridge started sliding. Not all at once. Farms do not collapse dramatically at first. They leak. A missed water bill here. A late pesticide use report there. Soil tests postponed because Chase said he could tell the vines were healthy by feel. Crop insurance paperwork left half-finished. A small irrigation penalty that became a larger one because nobody appealed in time. Dad had slowed down after Grandpa's death. Mom wanted the vineyard to remain in the family, but what she meant was that Chase should look like he had inherited a kingdom. Chase wanted the name. Savannah wanted the brand. I wanted the records fixed before the county, the USDA, or the bank put a red line through the whole dream. So I helped. Quietly at first. I paid overdue water penalties because the district deadline was 3 days away. I ordered soil testing because the transition plan toward organic certification required it. I corrected 3 years of pesticide logs because Chase had written, "Sprayed North Block," like that meant anything to an inspector. I found missing crop insurance emails and rebuilt the file. I negotiated an irrigation extension after the farm nearly lost water access during a dry season. I warned Chase in writing that he could not market the vineyard as certified organic until the transition records, pesticide history, buffer zones, and verification were complete. He replied, "Relax, Clara. People understand what organic means." That was exactly the problem. Consumers trust words. Farmers have to prove them. Savannah arrived with a camera before the vineyard was clean enough for a claim. She was beautiful, polished, and dangerous in the way people are when they think branding is more real than compliance. She renamed everything. Grandpa's equipment shed became the Heritage Barn. The old office became the estate records room, though she had never opened a file in it. She started posting videos of Chase walking the rows at golden hour, touching leaves and saying things like, "We are bringing this land back the right way." She built wine club deposits around words like organic, regenerative, family grown, clean farming, grandfather's legacy. I texted Chase after the third post. "Stop using organic language until approval is complete." He sent back a thumbs up emoji. Savannah posted another video that night with the caption, "Certified by history." I nearly threw my phone across the room. My family said I was jealous because Chase was succeeding. That was the convenient version. The truth was uglier. I was angry because he was selling a story that depended on the records I had fixed, while pretending I had abandoned the farm. Mom loved that story. She said Chase stayed while I ran to offices and forms. She said he had soil under his nails while I had printer ink on mine. Dad never said it as cruelly, but he let her say it. He had seen the invoices I paid. He had watched me sit at Grandpa's old desk sorting pesticide logs into binders. He had asked me twice to look at one more file before Chase sends it. He knew. But Dad's silence had always worked like irrigation for Chase's lies. It fed them quietly. The certification fraud began with a request that looked harmless. Chase asked me for a copy of a prior compliance preparer form because the organic portal wanted formatting. I told him Rachel Moreno, the inspector, could contact me directly if she needed anything. He said he did not want to bother me with small details. I told him organic certification was nothing but small details stacked high enough to become law. He stopped asking. A week later, Savannah sent a family group text with a photo of Chase holding a wine glass in front of the vines. Big announcement coming. Grandpa would be proud. I looked at the image and saw a spray storage shed in the background, with unlogged materials still visible through the open door. Grandpa would not have been proud. He would have asked where the file was. The morning of the opening, the file found me. At 8:18, Rachel Moreno emailed me a final audit verification packet because my name appeared as compliance preparer on the submission. Clara, please confirm the attached organic certification acknowledgement and audit responsibility statement before today's site visit. The vineyard has represented you as preparer and signatory. My coffee went cold. I opened the attachment and saw my name under documents I had never signed. Organic System Plan Acknowledgement, Pesticide History Verification, Water Use Compliance Statement, Buffer Zone Readiness, Certification Transition Attestation. My signature appeared at the bottom, copied from an old crop insurance authorization form I had signed for Dad 2 years earlier. The loop on the C was too stiff. The pressure was wrong. The date was a day I had been in Sacramento testifying on a farm documentation panel. The portal submission came from Bennett Ridge Tasting Room office computer. Chase and Savannah's computer. I called Rachel immediately. Her voice was calm in the way inspectors sound when they have already seen enough to stop being surprised. I told her I had not signed the packet, had not verified the final claim, and had warned Chase not to market organic status before approval. She asked if I had documentation. I said yes. She said she would still attend the opening because a public organic claim had already been made. Bring the original records, she said, and do not sign anything they hand you. That sentence told me she understood families better than most. I packed the green folder. Water penalty receipts, soil testing invoices, pesticide log corrections, my refusal emails, crop insurance file, organic transition notes, screenshots of Savannah's certified organic marketing, the forged signature pages, the portal metadata Rachel had forwarded, Grandpa's handwritten note. I added the brass vineyard key because I wanted something in my hand that belonged to a time before my family turned land into content. At 4:50, Savannah stopped me before I reached the tasting patio. She wore a cream dress, gold earrings shaped like grape leaves, and a wireless mic clipped under her hair. Before the toast, we are having family sign a legacy card, she said. Just something sweet for the barrel room wall. The top page had a printed quote about Bennett family roots. Under it, folded once, was a certification acknowledgement saying I confirmed all organic records were prepared, reviewed, and submitted under my supervision. My signature line was marked with a gold sticky tab. I looked at her. This is not a legacy card. Her smile stayed pretty, but her eyes sharpened. It is just to keep everything aligned. With the forged packet? Her lips parted. Chase appeared behind her, already annoyed. Clara, not today. Then why is my name in the USDA file today? He lowered his voice. You helped with the records. This just formalizes it. I said, fraud usually likes prettier verbs. Mom came rushing over with a glass of sparkling wine in her hand. Do not start. Investors are here. I looked past her at the guests, tasting wine labeled with an organic claim that had not been honestly certified. That is exactly why I am starting. The patio was crowded when Chase gave his opening speech. 90 guests, 7 wine club deposits already collected, 3 investors in linen jackets, 2 wholesale buyers, local lifestyle bloggers, vineyard staff, relatives, and Savannah's live stream audience. The new tasting room glowed behind him. It was beautiful. I hated that it was beautiful. Beauty makes lies easier to swallow. Chase talked about honoring Grandpa Henry, bringing the land back, farming clean, and staying when others left. He said, some of us never gave up on this soil. My mother turned toward me just enough for the people nearby to notice. Then she said her line about me running from the farm. The applause came soft and polite. It still cut. Rachel Moreno stood near the barrel room door with her tablet. She did not interrupt until Chase lifted the ribbon scissors. Before any certified organic claim is used in sales materials today, she said, I need to verify the certification submission. The patio quieted. Chase froze. Savannah lowered the live stream slightly. Mom laughed too loudly. Oh, surely that can wait until after the ribbon. Rachel looked at her. No, ma'am, it cannot. First proof slap. No anger, just authority. Chase recovered enough to smile. Of course. My sister helped us prepare everything. I stepped forward. No, I did not approve the final submission. The air changed. A wine club guest lowered her glass. One wholesale buyer looked at the bottle in his hand. Savannah said, Clara means she helped with earlier versions. I opened the green folder and placed my refusal email on the nearest barrel table. This says, do not submit my name or signature until records are complete. Then I placed the forged acknowledgement beside it. This is what you submitted. Rachel compared the pages on her tablet. The submitted signature was not verified through Clara Bennett's direct account. She looked at Chase. Who uploaded this? Chase's jaw tightened. Our office handled the filing. Rachel said, Who uploaded the signature? Exact questions always make liars angry. Mom stepped in. This is just paperwork. Chase worked the vines. I turned to her. Organic is paperwork and vines. Then I pulled out the pesticide logs. These were incomplete. The soil reports. These were overdue. The water receipts. These penalties had to be paid before eligibility continued. The crop insurance file. This was about to lapse. The screenshots. And this is Savannah marketing organic status before final approval. A blogger whispered, Is that allowed? Rachel answered without looking up. Not if the certification is not valid and verified. Second proof slap. This one hit every wine glass on the patio. Chase tried the old family frame. Clara left years ago and now wants credit because the vineyard is finally successful. I lifted Grandpa's note. The land remembers who protected it. Dad's head dropped. He knew that handwriting. I continued. I did not leave the farm. I left the performance. I came back every time the files were about to cost us the land. Chase said, "Files do not grow grapes. Bad files can stop you from selling them." One of the wholesale buyers quietly set his glass down. That was the money shift. Rachel opened the certification record on her tablet. The organic system plan shows Clara Bennett as preparer and signatory. Submission timestamp 3 weeks ago. Source device, Bennett Ridge Tasting Room Office. Associated user, Savannah Bennett. Savannah went white. Chase looked at her. She whispered, "You told me she agreed." There it was, the golden child reflex. Move the flame to the nearest woman. Chase said, "Not here." Not here was always where truth finally arrived. Rachel asked Savannah, "Did Clara sign this acknowledgement in your presence?" Savannah swallowed. "She helped with the records." Rachel repeated, "Did she sign?" No answer. Third proof slap. Silence with a timestamp. A small voice came from near the vines. Ellie, Chase's 9-year-old daughter, stood beside a stack of wine crates in a yellow dress. She loved the vineyard in the simple way children love places before adults teach them ownership. "Dad," she asked, "is Aunt Clara the one who saved the farm too?" Chase flinched. I turned toward her immediately. "None of this is your fault, Ellie." Savannah rushed to her, but the question had already done what children's questions do. It made the lie sound childish in the worst way. Mom moved toward me, furious now. "You are humiliating your brother in front of everyone." I looked around at the investors, buyers, donors, bloggers, and Rachel's tablet. He invited the inspection to the ribbon. Grandpa would be ashamed. I held up the brass key. Grandpa gave me the gate key because he knew the farm needed records as much as hands. Dad finally spoke, barely above the wind. "He did." Mom turned on him. "Warren!" Dad looked at Chase, then at me. Clara kept the certification alive after the water penalties. She fixed the logs. She stopped the last audit from failing. The patio went still. My father's truth was late, thin, and forced by a USDA inspector. It still reached the guests. Chase's face hardened. "I rebuilt the vineyard." I nodded. "You renovated the tasting room. You replanted sections. You hired staff. That is work." He blinked because I had not denied it. "But work does not let you forge my name or sell certification you have not earned." Rachel nodded once. Not at me, at the distinction. Inspectors live inside distinctions. Then she made the first formal decision. Any certified organic marketing claim by Bennett Ridge would be suspended pending signature verification, record review, pesticide log audit, and confirmation of transition eligibility. Wine club materials using organic language needed correction. Wholesale buyers had to be notified. Investor materials referencing certification had to be reviewed. The ribbon cutting could continue as a regular vineyard opening, but not as a certified organic launch. That sentence gutted the event without raising its voice. Savannah sat down on a wine crate. Logan-style marketers and lifestyle spouses always think words are decoration until one word gets suspended. The donation screen did not exist here, but the damage was visible in faces. One investor stepped aside to make a call. A wholesale buyer asked for updated product sheets. A wine club member asked whether deposits were refundable if the organic status changed. Chase said they would discuss it after the ceremony. Rachel said, "Any claim tied to deposits needs clarity now." The guest nodded and took out her phone. The barrel room became the second truth room. Rachel asked Chase, Savannah, Dad, Mom, me, the vineyard manager, one investor representative, and a local farm official to step inside. The room smelled like oak, concrete, and panic. Rachel laid out the records on a tasting table. Corrected pesticide logs, water use receipts, soil testing, certification drafts I had rejected. Final packet with my forged signature. Portal metadata. Savannah's marketing screenshots. My emails warning Chase not to claim organic status. Then she asked the question that mattered. Did Clara Bennett sign the organic certification submission? Chase looked at Savannah. Savannah looked at Mom. Mom looked at Dad. Dad stared at the barrels. Nobody answered. Rachel waited. Waiting is a regulatory tool when people expect emotion to fill the file. Finally, Chase said, "No." One syllable. Not enough to repair, enough to record. Mom started crying. He only wanted to keep the vineyard alive. I said, "Then he should not have risked the certification." She snapped, "You always make love sound like a violation." I looked at the logs. When love for land becomes false records, yes. The vineyard manager, a quiet man named Luis, cleared his throat. Clara sent us the corrected spray schedule last season. Everyone turned. He looked uncomfortable but kept going. We would have failed the field review without it. Chase muttered, "Not now." Luis said, "It matters now." Fourth proof, unplanned and better than anything in my folder. People who actually work the land know who keeps it alive. The consequences began before sunset. The ribbon was cut, but nobody cheered the same way. The word organic disappeared from the speaking notes. Savannah ended the live stream early and blamed connection problems. The tasting continued with corrected language, which made every bottle feel like evidence. Investors asked for a compliance review before moving forward. Wholesale talks paused. Wine club deposits linked to organic status promotions were offered review or refund. The farm did not die. That was important. I did not want it dead. I wanted it honest. Chase cornered me near the old gate after guests began leaving. The brass key in my hand fit that gate, though the lock had been replaced. He looked at it with resentment. "You got what you wanted." "No, I got what you filed. You could have pulled me aside. I emailed you for months." "You know what I mean." "Yes," I said. "You mean I should have protected your image after you used my name." His face twisted. "You ran from this place." I looked past him at the rows of vines. "I ran from being the daughter who fixed everything while you posed beside it." He said I did not understand what staying cost. Maybe he was right, but he did not understand what protecting from a distance cost either. The difference was, I had receipts. Dad called me that night. I almost did not answer. His voice sounded old. "I am sorry." I let the words sit. "When did you know?" He breathed out slowly. "When Chase asked for your old insurance authorization." My stomach tightened. "And you did nothing." I wanted to believe he was just trying to get through the process. "No, you wanted Chase's story to survive." He did not deny it. That was the first useful thing he did on that call. The next week was not dramatic. It was worse for them. It was administrative. USDA review opened. Organic claims suspended. Product sheets corrected. Investor due diligence expanded. Savannah deleted posts that said certified organic. Deletion is not disappearance. Rachel had screenshots. So did I. Wine club members asked questions. The lifestyle blogger posted a careful article about the difference between sustainable, transitioning, and certified organic. Chase hated that article more than an insult because it educated his audience. Mom sent me a long text saying Grandpa would hate watching me tear down the family. I sent back a photo of his handwritten note. The land remembers who protected it. Then I sent the water penalty receipt from the year she told everyone Chase had saved the vines. She did not answer for 3 days. The formal review happened in a small county agricultural office with fluorescent lights and a table covered in binders. Rachel was there, Chase, Savannah, Dad, Mom, Luis, a certification representative, me with the green folder. Rachel reviewed the chain. Clara prepared corrective records. Clara warned against premature claim. Final certification packet submitted from tasting room office. Signature not verified. Marketing claims published before final approval. Pesticide logs corrected but not originally maintained by Chase. Water use penalties paid by Clara. Chase admitted I did not sign. Savannah admitted she uploaded materials based on Chase's statement that I had agreed. Mom tried to say families have informal understandings. Rachel replied, "Organic certification is not informal." I wrote that sentence down. Bennett Ridge was not permanently banned. Real life is rarely that neat. The vineyard was placed under corrective action. Organic marketing had to stop until the transition record could be verified properly. Some lots could not be sold under the claim. Wholesale contracts were delayed. Investors renegotiated terms. Chase had to hire an independent compliance preparer. He hated that. Good. People respect records faster when records cost money. I did not walk away from the land. I changed the terms. No more silent fixes. No more unpaid compliance work. No more emergency emails with "family" in the subject line. If Bennett Ridge needed my expertise, it came through a formal contract, written scope, hourly rate, and no authority to use my name beyond approved documents. Chase refused at first. Then Rachel's corrective action timeline arrived. He signed. Not because he respected me, because the vineyard needed what I knew. Sometimes justice begins with an invoice. Ellie came to see me 2 months later with Dad. She brought a grape leaf pressed between 2 notebook pages. "Grandpa Henry said leaves tell stories," she said, though she had only heard that from me. I showed her how to label it: block, date, condition, weather. She asked if that was paperwork. I said yes. She asked if paperwork could be love. I looked at Dad. He looked away, but not fast enough. "Yes," I said, "when it protects something alive." That became the seed of my next life. I launched Bennett Farm Record Defense, helping small farms, daughters, widows, heirs, and families protect land records, organic claims, water use documentation, pesticide logs, crop insurance files, and inherited farm truth before a charming relative could turn a sunset into ownership. My first workshop was held in a community room at a farm supply store. I placed Grandpa's brass gate key on the table beside a sample organic system plan, a pesticide log, a water penalty notice, and a checklist titled, "The Land Remembers Who Protected It." Farmers came. Daughters came. One widow brought a box of spray records her son wanted to simplify before a loan application. A young vineyard worker asked if taking photos of daily logs was paranoid. I told him no. It was memory with a backup. Bennett Ridge eventually corrected its records. It took a year. Some blocks qualified, some did not. The wine got better because Luis finally had authority to run field logs correctly. Savannah's brand changed from certified organic luxury to transparent transition farming, which was less glamorous and more honest. Chase still speaks beautifully about the land, but now there is someone else in the office checking what his words claim. Mom still says I ruined his big opening. I say I saved him from a bigger federal problem. Dad has started mailing me copies of farm notices before anyone asks. Late growth is still growth, even when it does not erase the drought. The brass key hangs in my office now, next to Grandpa's note and the corrected certification timeline. Sometimes I hold it before audits. Not for luck, for memory. My family invited me to the vineyard opening as the daughter who ran from the farm because I was not posing among the vines. They called water receipts nothing. They called pesticide logs paperwork. They called soil tests cold. They called a forged signature family understanding. But the USDA records remembered what the live stream did not. I had not abandoned the vineyard. I had kept it alive in the dirt, in the water files, in the audit binder, and in the truth Chase tried to sell as his own. So tell me, if your family forged your name to sell a dream and called you selfish for stopping it, would you stay quiet for the ribbon? Or would you open the green folder and let the land remember out loud?